You're watching The Ready Writer, a show where I get to speak to writers of all different genres, mediums, and experiences. The Ready Writer. Are you ready? Hello, it's time for another episode of The Ready Writer. I am your host, Casey Bell, and today's writer is Megan Messmer. Let's get the show started. Okay, so what was the earliest memory of you, or were you a writer as a child, or did this just happen after getting into the business as far as writing for scripts?
Yeah, I actually did write as a child. I used to write stories all the time, but it's weird. When I got into film, I never considered myself a writer, and it's just now something that I'm coming back to. I'm a storyteller, and what I've realized is that the skill, the craft of writing is something you can acquire, and so that's what I've been doing over the last couple years or more now. Is the craft. So
And so your first project, so to speak, how did that happen as far as you
writing.
becoming a writer for a project?
Um, I'm trying to think what I would consider my first project. So I think the first project I considered myself a writer on was a web series that I mentioned this in the other show. I went back to the UCLA Professional Producers Program and I wanted to make a pilot. And so I partnered with a girl that I thought was super funny and I loved her. And I was like, I have this idea for a show. Can you help me write it? Because I didn't trust myself as a writer. So we sat at coffee shops throughout Los Angeles for several months. And then we wrote, I think it was again like 6 episodes of this web series. And then we shot the pilot, or like a sizzle, if you know what that means. Sizzle is like a trailer for what we thought the show would be and look like. And so we had a blast. As a writer, I'm the type of writer that I like improvise it. I act it out because, I started in acting. And she would sit there and like write it on the page. She would write like this. She would take what I was doing, and she would riff on it on the page. And then I would, then we'd edit it and stuff. So that was my first thing. And actually that project, we got picked up to Zoe Saldana's company. We got interest, and they wanted to make it. And I was like, oh my God, this is insane. We pitched it to them. They loved it. We were like, oh my God, we're going to make this thing. And then when I came back to film it, I found out that Lionsgate, they had lost their overall deal with Lionsgate. So they were scrapping all their projects. And I was like, dang it. So I was yelling at my dog, sorry.
Oh. So when you write or come up with a project, is it because it's a homework project, or does it just come out of nowhere? What's inspiration, or does each one have its own story of inspiration?
So I probably will never write something that isn't coming from something that inspires me. Like what I'm saying is I'm not a writer for hire. I don't think I will ever be a writer for hire. I think that the stuff that I write is all because I'm inspired by a story and I want to see it done. I'm working on a series right now that we will write a pilot for. But it's a World War II, it's all female fighter pilots in World War II. And like never heard this story before. And it's so ridiculous. It's based in truth. And I'm like, why is this not a show? And so that sort of stuff inspires me. We talked about my other show, which is about gentrification in Atlanta. That is from personal experience, was where that show was really written from. So yeah, I'm inspired by, honestly, I'm inspired by truth, by true stories mostly.
And so after you write it, do you get help, or do you get co-writers, or do you get editors, or someone else's opinion? Like, how does that all happen?
Yeah, definitely. So when I wrote my series that we just finished shooting, Intersection, I'm a part of a writers group that is, I mean, several of them that are writers for shows in the industry right now. And so I would bring my episodes to that group and I'd get feedback and notes and things that they didn't understand. Or I'll send it out to some of my colleagues that I trust in the industry, either executives that I've met over the years or people that I trust, that have a good knack for story. You always need notes.
Yes. So school does teach you how to spell correctly and how to proper grammar and all of that. But when you get into the writing business, there's a lot of things you learn that school never teaches you. So what are some of those things you learned along the way about the writing in entertainment business that kind of shocked you, or you just didn't know because it wasn't taught?
Well, again, I didn't go to film school, so there's everything that I learned about writing in this business. I learned like on my own through books and things like that. One master class online.
Yes.
I took Shonda Rhimes' master class and I was like, this lady, that was a huge, helpful guidance for me while I was sitting there trying to break down my series. I've read Robert McKee's book Story several times. That's a good one. And then Save the Cat, but that's mostly for film, I would say. But yeah, I go back to Shonda Rhimes' masterclass often.
So other than educating yourself, any tips for a writer out there who has their script, but they don't know the first step to take to get it produced, directed out there?
I mean, I'm a huge advocate for making your own work. So that's kind of my whole platform is like, I'm a multi-hyphenate. I started in this industry because I couldn't make it as an actor. I couldn't get cast. And so I cast myself in a play and produced it. And so as a writer, maybe it's a feature that you love, but maybe you can't afford or know how to do a feature. Maybe you should do that sizzle. Like I said, I didn't make my 6-episode web series. I made a sizzle for it. And that actually got me the next step of pitching it to people that would, be better at making it than me. So I think that there's opportunities for you as a creative to either partner with someone that is like a brand new producer that wants to make something, or director, just to make maybe a proof of concept, like a short. And when I say short, I mean 6 pages as opposed to 20 pages. I think people bite off a lot more than they can chew. Writers have a hard time editing. Start small and just start getting your work out there.
Cool. Thank you for that advice.
You're welcome.
And my last question for you, if there's a writer out there that you could sit down and have lunch with and conversation on anything, and they don't have to be alive, they can be dead or someone unknown or well-known, whoever it is, any writer you want to sit down and talk with.
Yeah, who would I pick? Oh, I know. The War of Art. What is his name? It's like one of my favorite books, and it's so sad I don't know his name. I'm looking on my Audible because, okay, The War of Art is the name of a book that, is it Stephen? I'm trying to find it. Hold on. Stay with me. Stephen Pressfield. Okay. He's a writer in the industry, and he wrote this book called The War of Art, and I listen to it every single time I need motivation to just keep going. It's so funny. It's short, and it's like motivation to write every day, just get that junk out. So I'd love to have lunch with him sometime.
That is all the time we have for you today. I want to thank our guest, Megan Messmer, for taking the time to stop on by. And of course, you, the audience, for watching. Thank you. Have a great day.